All right, welcome back to round two here at Modern Mondays at Guardian Games. I'm Urchin Cully, and I'm here with.
Travis Cooper.
So, round two here, we are going to see a matchup between Azorius Miracles and.
Naya cats. And I don't think we're talking about copycats here. I think we're literally talking about cats.
Straight Cats 1-0.
So I know that the miracles list, it's on the like Jason Mind Sculptor Terminus package here. So any creature deck that's playing against that, you're gonna have to be pretty aggressive to get a lot of damage in um, at the beginning, and then hopefully just be able to kind of do some weird tempo shenanigans with like removal and Terminus. Um, versus the control deck, but it's kind of an uphill battle. These like miracles decks are meant to beat creature heavy decks.
Yeah, they're much more punishing to decks that want to commit to the board than they are to spell-based decks, as opposed to, I think, more traditional blue-white builds.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to see how the blue white list have changed since the printing of Mystic Sanctuary, which Narset was a really strong card and still is in a lot of control shells because it lets you dig for a verdict. Like turn 3, you can play Narset and then dig for your 4-mana verdict, where it's kind of a nombo with Terminus because you don't want that to be in your hand, you want it to be on top of your deck. Um, and but it seems like Travis is playing, deciding to go the Mystic Sanctuary Terminus
Yeah.
route here, which that's also an interesting choice to make. Like there's so many ways you can build this control deck nowadays.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the blue-based control decks have gone the Sanctuary route, and I think there's a lot of good reason to it. The amount of value from that is, I mean, it's nutty even if you don't get into a cryptic lock position, but with a couple cryptic commands, you can actually just lock your opponent out of the game unless they're able to stack multiple threats, and by that point in the game, it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, and we've seen in Legacy the Miracles builds move towards in Legacy playing a Deprive instead of the literal card counterspell, so that you can return Mystic Sanctuary to your hand, so that then you can put an Entreat the Angels or Terminus on top of your deck.
Seems great, honestly. I love bad counterspell becomes better counterspell. All right, Chris gonna go ahead and fetch with a Windswept Heath here. All right, we're just gonna get a tap Temple Garden, and that'll be the turn here. I see some Metallic Mimics in the deck. We are all in on the cats. Kasali Pride Mages, Lightning Bolts. I'm just taking a sneak peek. I want to know what's going on. I'm a cat person. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with cats. I don't want to get too controversial here and alienate some viewers, but I am definitely a cat fan.
Dogs are cool too. Metallic Mimic, he's a tribal card. Chris Fox, notably not Chris Katz. Sorry. All right, we're going to follow Plains.
I bet it's a cat, or maybe it's a mimic. Fleecebane Lion. Are you
They
gonna
are
get spell snare?
pushing me today. Are we gonna, we're going to snare that?
I mean,
Just keep him off
Fleecebane
guard.
Lion is like a very efficient card. It's green white for 3/3, and then you can monstrous it. And when it's monstrous, it's like hexproof and indestructible. It's kind of insane stats if you're able to monstrous it.
That seems decent.
I mean, but just 2 for 3/3 isn't bad.
No.
But then to have a late game way to use your mana is also pretty strong.
All right,
You know,
Travis.
I'm from Kentucky. I took speech therapy as a child, so I lost a lot of my accent, but it's kind of like the whole Louisville thing. Monstrous. That's how I say it.
Monstrous. I like it. See, I think Travis using the small counter spells and little bits of interaction at the beginning just to keep Chris not able to set up his curve and really pressure is going to do him well, because by the time Travis is able to make a lot of land drops, Chris is going to have a lot of difficulty taking over the game.
Yeah, it seems like with Chris missing the third land drop there, he doesn't have a perfect curve.
No.
Did you see what I did?
Did you get the joke? I got the joke.
Okay.
I got it.
You just were
Sorry.
so straight-faced.
You're right. You're right. I may have bounded right past it. More on the jokes than me today. There is a cat lord in Modern Horizons, which was like a joke in Modern Horizons. It was the only cat, but there were a ton of shapeshifters, so it was actually a shapeshifter lord. It was like a all cats get plus Savannah lands.
I feel like there is a fair amount of callbacks in Modern Horizons.
Oh, there were a ton. Have you? Did you? Oh no! I just figured out my flavor of the week. It just came to me.
We got
gonna
a
hold it.
couple. We're
I
gonna
just
be very
thought of mine though.
flavorful. Okay,
I
well,
just thought of
channel
mine
it.
though. I'm gonna hold it. Speaking of Modern Horizons and callbacks. All right, we're gonna swing in here with Solid Pride Mage. Yeah, that's what I said. All cats get plus Savannah lands. So we're gonna hieroglyphic illumination it into turn instant speed divination.
Also a pretty good card to put on top of your deck with Mystic Sanctuary.
Hieroglyphic Illumination actually notably here cycles for one to draw a card, which is really useful if you want to instant speed fetch top a miracle cycle instant speed terminus. You can do tricks like that, and so I believe that's the reasoning behind that card choice. Same with Opt.
Yeah, I feel like the big reason to play Illumination over something like Glimmer of Genius is just the 1 mana cycling for when you need to hit your early land drops.
Hmm.
Otherwise, late game, a card like Glimmer or Factor Fiction is just objectively more powerful, but they don't help you get your early land drops.
They also don't help you with your miracles tricks. Oh,
Yeah,
we've got a viewer from Kentucky.
yeah, where are you from? Or where are you watching right now?
All right.
So Travis is like pretty low in life right now. Maybe trying to stabilize here with the adjacent terminus. I can't quite see what's in hand.
I saw a Snapcaster.
There's a path and a Snapcaster. So when you're playing against a creature deck that doesn't have haste or reach, which I'm assuming these cats don't have haste or reach. Well, they might have reach, but there's no burn spells necessarily.
Ooh.
Oh, we
Let's get rid of that.
Grimaz.
Okay, so we have Path Snap, Path 2 Sanctuaries, and another field. We're a bit field flooded here. Okay, we're going to do some mana fixing. Tag your Stomping Ground.
There might be some bolts in Chris's deck if we're playing red.
There are bolts. We saw those. There's some wild in the
Yeah.
cattles. Not wild in the doggles. Only wild in the cattles. I'm sorry.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I grew up around the Bowling Green area, so sort of Nashville, Tennessee, Southern Kentucky. But I was born in Lexington, but spent a lot of time in Louisville.
All right.
So it's pretty relevant that Field of Ruin got an island, because now we're in the fetch land into Mystic Sanctuary. Put whatever you want on top.
Yep, and I believe that was just a natural miracle.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you draw the miracle card.
It's I don't know, it's very good fortune. That's all I'll say about it.
Oh. Okay, so we Mystic Sanctuary, put Hieroglyphic Illumination on top, not Terminus.
Well, the board's empty. I don't think we want that terminus on top right now. And Travis also is holding another Mystic Sanctuary. So he'll have another shot at that. And if he has a fetch land, which I can't quite tell, then he'll be able to instant speed it. Oh no. I streamed with the Miracles deck once. I was awful. I was terrible. It was my first time ever playing blue-white. Turns out it's like a choice or two to make when you play that deck. I just decided to jump in a league. I'm like, I've never done this. Oh no.
So Chris, I think, kind of telegraphing some plays here, or maybe just shortcutting. But fetching on main phase and then passing a turn definitely to me says, you know what, I probably got a collected company.
Cat collection. Cat collected
I
company.
see a Snapcaster, a Path, Illumination in Travis's
I do
hand,
not
but
see interaction for that Coco.
haven't seen any counter spells yet.
No. We know he has them. Other than the spell snare, but we know he has them. Alright. We've got a Metallic Mimic and a Bremoz.
I
Cat
always
collected company.
called it Brimaz, but Maybe that's another Kentucky thing.
I don't know. Maybe it is Brimez. I don't know. Brimmeows.
Oh.
Metallic Meowmic.
Whew.
See, I
We're
was trying
here.
not to do the Catlected Company,
We're here
Collected
every
Company.
Monday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
So now you know when to avoid us. Don't we like? Don't go.
They said we were going to combat, but then we got some, perhaps.
We're going to Catbat. Path Brimaz.
You gonna search for a basic?
Yeah, let's go get that. Plain old plains. Get in for 2.
I wonder if we're gonna just see a Snapcaster
He's an 8.
chump block, or Snapcaster target path. Do you
It would,
care about going to 6? Maybe. If you don't have counter spells, you might be afraid of 2 bolts.
I don't know if he is predicting there are bolts in this deck. So yeah, he's gonna fall to 6 here. Maybe not expecting the existence of Lightning Bolt in this deck. Trying to hope to get a 2-for-1 going on because he doesn't have a lot of counter magic. He doesn't have a ton going on.
Oh, whew, I love it when chat gets in on the puns.
Please, chat, join me. We're gonna illuminate again. Draw a couple cards. We got a 3 fairy. We have a Force of Negation. Those are relevant. Well, Force of Negation may be less here, but it'll eat a Collected Company if need be.
Catastrophe is banned in Modern, or it's not even in a Modern legal set, so it's not
Neither is
banned, it's just,
Cataclysm.
yeah.
You're gonna have to go to Legacy for those.
Travis likes drawing cards, that's a man after my own heart. I love drawing cards.
Yeah, I I know that feel. That's a foil Mystic Sanctuary. Ooh, that's nice.
That's a lot of mana you're counting up there.
Hard cast Terminus. Bam.
It is a mode of the card, is that you can cast it for its converted mana cost, and then put all creatures on the bottom of their owner's library.
What? I didn't. What? I never heard of it. It's a 1-mana Wrath of God. Just requires a lot of work. Terminus. Expensive. Not Wrath of God. Actually bottoms the creatures. Occasionally, like relevant in some matchups, not in others. Always pretty miserable against Dredge, but. So we have another Pride Mage there, I think? No. Can't even tell what that is. We're gonna ravel the time.
I feel like that creature is getting bounced.
Boing boing. Get out of here. Draw a card. Kusali Ambusher.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is about when you can back up the cards if you're Chris.
Yeah, Travis has gained control of this board in a big way. And here's Jace the Mind Sculptor. This is when what you really don't want to see. Oh. So this alternate cast mode, not super coming up in the blue-white control match. Jace the Meow Sculptor. Yeah, we've got the Terminus just going round and round here.
Yeah, once you get an active Jace that just can float the Terminus on top of your deck, and then you're going to have things to cycle, it's the writing's on the wall here.
It ain't pretty. We can do this all day long, but I don't think we're getting anywhere. Travis showing fear? You don't need to instant speed that. You can't even... Yeah, there you go. There you go. We're gonna turn us that ambusher. You're just gonna
We have
draw
a
it.
miracle trigger, but we're not casting.
I think I like that. You're not gonna trade like that. You're just gonna hang on to it. You have enough mana to hardcast it whenever you like.
Yeah, so at this point, after this Jace 0, if I'm Travis, I'm just plussing the Jace.
Yeah, we're gonna close it out.
A lot of times that's the most efficient and speedy way to end the game when you're playing this control deck instead of doing stuff like animating Colonnade, which it looks like Travis is going to do.
Yeah, we're gonna get in there. Yeah, we're still holding up Cryptic, so. Boop. Crack you for 4. Fall into 9.
You know, I actually don't
Oh,
like
11.
that attack. You've got total control of the game. You can win with Jace plussing, and now you leave yourself open to some weird lines where Chris will attack, and then maybe you'll like path it, and then you don't have spells up to deal with like a couple lightning bolts, or who knows. But like, there's no real reason to win with damage at this point. But
Meh. Yeah, this seems like a little heavy-handed, maybe.
it's gonna work out.
That's gonna be fine. Celestial Catlinade. No, never stop, Relax. Never stop. I don't. That's why I have so many friends. All right. We're gonna see a path on that lone attacker. You can't stretch it too far. You have to only the choicest puns. I like Teferi Yarn Raveler. Actually, that was a good inspiration there. We're gonna know. We're gonna cancel that collected company. Cancel that order. 1 card left for Chris. It's an ambusher. This is not looking good here.
It's kind of rudimentary at this point.
Rudimentary.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
Chris concedes.
I think that's about right. All right. So let's take a look at what our sideboard options are for our control player and our cat player. Travis here is looking at a couple copies of Narset, an Ixalan's Binding, a Celestial Purge, a Vidalcan Shackles, let's come back to that, an Ashiok Dream Render, 2 Timely Reinforcements, 1 of a couple Gideons, 1 Monastery Mentor, 1 Force of Negation, 2 Disdainful Stroke, and a Shadow of Doubt. What do you like?
You know, I'm not even sure I want to board in anything in this matchup. I could see a Force of Negation coming in just because Collective Company is going to be the way that Chris is going to get some value here in 2-for-1 the control deck. But like with these Termises, you're going to be like at least 2-for-1ing your opponent, maybe 3 or 4-for-1ing them. So I kind of don't think you really need to board.
I don't think so either. Not a lot of this is looking better than his main deck cards. Options here for Chris on Cats. 4 Path to Exile, 2 Stony Silence, 1 more Bramaz, 2 Tormod Script, 2 Rest in Peace, and 3 Weather the Storm. Do you like Rest in Peace against Sanctuary or Tormod Script?
No.
No?
I could see bringing in Burmaz because it's a kind of build your own army card. That seems strong. I don't think Rest in Peace is good enough against the blue-white decks. They're pretty Planeswalker heavy with like Teferi and Jace that you can kind of ignore your graveyard. And then you're down a card that maybe does something like deals damage or attacks. So I don't really like them in the matchup.
But has their calculus on that changed since the addition of Sanctuary? Because the older blue-white decks, I would totally agree with you. You're only really getting after Snapcaster Mage, but now they have Sanctuary and there's a little bit more going on with that. Has that changed your mind at all?
Not really, because if a spell's in your opponent's graveyard, it's already done its effect once. And then if you're sideboarding against it doing its effect a second time, then you're sort of already 2-for-1ing yourself.
Maybe.
I think you want to just... It's an awful matchup for Chris. You're not going to be winning it by sideboarding Rest in Peace. I think you just have to get lucky and have a really aggressive start.
That's fair enough. But just to theorize a little bit more, if Travis has, say, 1 Snapcaster Mage and 1 Mystic Sanctuary, that Rest in Peace has now actually taken out 2 hits. Like Travis is trying to double dip on his spells, and you are forcing him back to just 1 usage.
I sort of disagree with that assessment because Snapcaster Mage is still a 2-1 and Mystic Sanctuary is still an island. Like they have their like at face value where the card that you're playing doesn't have any face value and just like cuts off part of the value of Travis's cards,
That's
which
fair.
is not what you want to be doing against a control deck.
I love islands.
I mean, we could definitely. I feel like I don't think I'm necessarily right. It could be an agree to disagree situation, but
I think you may be right that Chris's line here is to get under, and Rest in Peace on turn 2 is not how you do that.
I also think it's worth talking about how to attack this matchup if you're Chris. I mean, it seems like kind of a nightmare matchup, so you're maybe just slamming all your threats and hoping to dodge Terminus. If
Yeah,
you're
I think
Chris
if
here.
you're on the play, you're definitely playing out 3 threats and then making Travis answer them, and then trying to keep a full hand after that. Um, it's a real dance playing against sweepers.
Yeah.
But especially if you can like play out 3 threats and then back it with something like a collected company, that's a way to just make your opponent deal with your board and then be able to cast a card advantage spell. That's the dream situation.
Yeah, Travis here sitting on a couple path to exile, a little Teferi, a big Teferi, at least an island and probably a couple more lands. Can't quite see it all, but is Travis deck list available? We do not have Travis's deck list. We just have his sideboard, but you can see a fair number of these blue-white miracles lists around these days. So, the wild Nacatl, gonna eat a path to exile. Should, in the end, end up exiled, but haven't seen any recursion from Chris. That ramp. Chris getting ahead on mana. Seems like going down a threat's still pretty bad.
So that land's tapped. Oh,
Bolcha.
well, that's a path to exile, so we don't get that red mana, right? I think we need to interrupt the game
Yeah.
here.
Is that end step path?
Uh, no.
Hang on. Did that path land come into play untapped? Right. So the path was. Yeah, and you cast the fragment? Cool. And we've got it sorted. All right. We've got Windsmith Heath.
So that is a disadvantage of playing just blue-white without red, is that if you're forced to cast a Path to Exile early in the game, then you can put your opponent up mana and then be able to cast something like a Collected Company when you don't have like counterspell on curve.
Right. You always advocating for the Jeskai over the Azorius. Yeah, we noticed that the Nacatl has not actually been exiled. If that becomes relevant, we're going to go ahead and step in. But so far, we haven't seen anything that makes it relevant. I want to interrupt too much. Should have mentioned that at the time. So we see Coco, 2 lands, and a bolt in hand. Not as threat dense as you want to be. Respond to your fetch, collected company. Good timing. Well, you have no blue mana. Thank you very much. Not sure. I wouldn't see Travis packing Spell Pierce here, but just in case. Ooh, Brimaz.
Yeah, that cat
Alright.
was quite the house in the standard it was played in.
Veto's a good point. I'm not really a fan of having Veto in this matchup because so far we've seen only Collected Company. We didn't even see the bolts game 1. So I'm not sure that Veto is where I would want to be if I were Travis. I think you just try to play the board game and you let him Coco and you Terminus. We haven't seen either vial.
Haven't seen Aether Vial, and then also haven't seen Cavern of Souls.
Cavern of Souls.
Yeah, Cavern is always pretty strong in these control matchups.
Oh, it's absolutely miserable. Pride Sovereign here. He's a big cat. And you can exert him to make even more cats. I just really love cats.
Huh. So Travis is gonna say, I'm gonna pseudo fog and draw a card.
Yeah, Pride Sovereign here seems not where you want to be, just because, I mean, he gets his boosts, but at base he's a what? He's a gray ogre, and if you're going to exert him, you're just playing into board wipes. I don't really want to be building a huge board if you're Chris. I just want to be attacking.
I agree, but I like that you don't have to overextend. You could actually just use the Pride Sovereign to force a board wipe, which seems somewhat solid too.
You know, if there's a draw from Chris that's going to get there, it's this one. If you can see how much aggression he's putting on the board, where Travis, I think, maybe has missed a land drop. He's ramped Chris. Chris is putting down a ton of pressure, and Travis has yet to
I kind
really
of like
find an
exerting
answer.
here.
So we're going to see 4 here on the Pride Sovereign, plus 2 more. Okay. Travis looking down a pretty frightening attack. He's going to need an answer right now. Spell Snare, not it.
Yeah,
Do we
I think
have
we
Cryptic
have a couple
Mana?
planeswalkers hanging out in hand. What do we have? Are those 2 big Teferis or a big
Those
and
are
a
2
little?
big Teferis.
Oh.
The little one's come and gone. We do not have Cryptic Mana. So I'm assuming there's a path to exile here, because otherwise Travis is kind of dead. Yeah, let's count it up there. Oh,
We got
lightning bolt.
A little
Travis
bit of reach,
is
a little bit of reach.
quite dead. He has the path in hand. So if path takes out Ramaz, we're going to see an attack for 5, which is not quite there. Ramaz would have been really useful.
Do we have a collected company in hand for Chris?
That'd be pretty good. I don't think so. I think we just have lands and bolt. So maybe...
I kind of like the exert there too.
yeah, I was thinking that you want the exert there. Just next turn makes it absolutely lethal. Okay, so now Travis is going to have Cryptic Mana, which is going to make this a lot more difficult for Chris.
Yeah, I don't necessarily like the lightning bolt there, even though it does get Travis down to 2, as I kind of like that as something in the back pocket to have. And, you know, if Travis didn't know about the lightning bolt, he might have tapped out the next turn for Teferi. And then it just, you make your opponent have not full information.
Okay, we didn't remind him to get a land from the path here.
Yeah, that is the responsibility of the player who casts Path to Exile.
So, do we want to step in about that, or are we just going to move forward?
I feel like that's a thing that we just have to let pass at this point.
We'll have to let that fall into the path. Path us by. Yeah, it could be that he's also out of basics. Path to exile. Not bad, not bad. Alright. Travis here going to have to Cryptic tap the team to survive. A fetch can get him a Sanctuary and keep things going. Tap your team. And he still has force backup in case there's a collected company. I like that shiny Cryptic, except for the fact that it's textless. I'm not really into the textless.
Can you exert when you're not attacking? Yeah.
All
right.
Yeah. Yeah, exert is just
Okay.
doesn't untap.
Wow.
You're just thinking of Glorybringer because it's the relevant exert card.
Right.
Which exerts when attacking. Yeah, exert is part of the cost.
Oh, that's a
Doesn't-
pretty heads up move by Chris there,
Yeah.
then.
Get your value.
And we haven't had any just top deck terminuses.
I haven't had a lot of land drops from Travis. We've got a plains now. Oh, and a Tarn. Okay, no, we have lands. So we're not playing Tarn, so we're not interested in topping anything. which is interesting because here, if I were Travis, I might be interested in.
I
Well, you
d-
have to answer right now,
yeah,
though.
I don't know what you could do. I think you're gonna have to
Commit to the
hope
board
to
for
draw
this.
like a hieroglyphic illumination into a top deck terminus or something right now.
Well, he has no mana left. He played
Yeah,
the plains for
but he
turn.
plussed Teferi, so you'll have 2 untaps, and so I think
Okay.
that's your out right now is drawing something that says draw a card and then hope a terminus is on top.
Yeah. All right. I don't think we've got it. We've got an opt, so he's got one shot. Well, 2 looks.
It's like an Eminem song or something.
Go ahead and fill us in on that then.
I don't. That's just what entered my head when you said he's got one shot.
You've opened the door.
You got one shot and 2 looks to not miss your chance to blow.
Oh, we're going for opt. Hopefully hit a terminus bottom, and are we gonna get it?
1, 2, 3, and
Oh.
Celestial Colonnade not gonna get there.
Uh.
Also, Ian, I'm so glad you're here for us. Okay, so if you wanted to know how Naya Katz takes down a difficult matchup, that would be how.
Yeah, it's having your opponent never draw a terminus.
Have your opponent never draw a terminus, be on the play. Um, we had some tails up plays there. Time. What? What was actually good?
It seems like Chris's draw lined up pretty perfectly with Travis's there.
Okay, I'm glad you like that one. Um, yeah, Chris had a very good draw there. He had just the right amount of pressure to keep Travis on the back foot, and Travis's lack of sweepers meant he could never catch up because it's really incumbent on Travis to be not playing a 1-for-1 game here because he'll lose that game.
Yeah, and Travis really wasn't able to like claw back into that game with any real relevant sweeper or chaining some cryptics together.
Also the pass there. So there's a lot. I feel like a lot of the time, people sort of obviously, people sort of say obviously Path is the best 1-mana removal spell, but this is an example where you see the drawback. People don't always respect the fact that Path gives your opponent a land, and in some matchups that's incredibly relevant. Here you saw Chris just able to slam threat after threat after threat, and Travis is just trying to get to cryptic mana. I agree, Relax. I don't think I like bolts here either. They give you a little reach, but it's not a lot of reach.
I'm gonna kind of be in the other camp where I think the bolts are kind of relevant just because Travis is playing planeswalkers and like a Jace, if it minuses can get really out of hand, and a bolt is a way to, or if you minus bounce a creature, then the next turn you're able to brainstorm. A bolt's a way to sort of 1-for-1 that Jace that gets played for 4.
That's a very good point. I revised my opinion. You can't Path a Planeswalker. One of the advantages of Lightning Bolt. I have a lot to say about 1-mana removal in Modern. Stay tuned. But Lightning Bolt notably does go Planeswalker face.
I mean, I wouldn't. Although I do have have some skin in the game, I would say, but I I don't think bolts are bad right now. I don't think they're particularly great, but they're not awful. There's a lot of creature decks that are out there. And there's a lot of 3-mana planeswalkers. I mean, it doesn't do anything against Oko, but bolts do things against like the other ones.
Yeah,
And it's
does
like
anything
generally
against
like
Oko?
bolt snap bolt is a game plan that does something in matchups where you wouldn't be doing something otherwise.
You do have a little cat skin in the game, but in general, it's not that Bolt is bad. I think it's just a little relatively weak right now compared to how it has been at other points in the format. So let's take a look at, we've got a nice opening hand here from Travis, looks like. We're on a mulligan. We're going to take a peek, opt path. Lands, I think we're going to get rid of another land. Always actually, opt path force. I think, timely? I think Maybe I saw a time maybe
So,
that came in.
chat's asking what the red's for. I'm guessing it's mostly Wild Nacatl, and then to have your removal also be Reach for Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, I think Nakado's the main thing. More bolts, less path. Eh. So actually, I think if you want to know where it's at with 1 mana removal right now, if you're a deck that can cast Galvanic Blast, it's Galvanic Blast, and if you're not, it's Fatal Push.
I do. Okay, so I'm gonna say Bolt's relevant because Emery is like a card that gets played a lot, and if your opponent just sort of like spams a bunch of artifacts and it's turn one Emery, and you're able to Lightning Bolt it, sometimes that deck can't do a lot for the next couple turns from that point.
Oh,
And
that's true.
you know, Fatal Push isn't gonna get there. Path isn't as good in that situation.
It's not that hard to revolt a Fatal Push for Emery, but you're right that Bolt is the strongest specifically there. If you can have a decent chance at revolting a Fatal Push, it'll also hit some of those 1/4s like Urza and Sai that can also be a problem, as well as taking out Emery. For sure, though, Bolt is the most efficient thing for hitting an early 1/2 that will just completely break the game if allowed to stick. All right. That's a forest, friend.
Yeah, I mean, Force of Negation isn't great to use the alternative casting costs on your turn because you can't do that. But, you know, Travis isn't tapping out a lot except for maybe to Fairy on Travis's turn. And then if Travis is on the play, you can cast a Fairy, and then basically Chris is forced into playing Collected Company on Chris's turn. Or otherwise, you can play the cancel mana cost of Force of Negation to counter Collected Company.
It's really quite rude, the effect of that 3 mana Planeswalker. Just gonna sit there and force you to cast things on your own turn so they can be forced with about mana. What a great card. So glad they printed it. What do we got there? This is a real challenge for me today, spotting all of these cards I'm not familiar with. Travis gonna fetch a Hallowed Fountain into turn, draw for turn. Island. Pass it back. The old land go. Chris.
Chat's hard baiting you, Travis.
I'm ignoring it.
Oh, this is so personal. Anytime it's about Jeskai, it's personal.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll play decks I think are good and continue to have reasonable success with them.
I was gonna say the thing about you as a Jeskai player is it kind of doesn't matter whether Jeskai is particularly good or bad. You're very good at playing it.
So we're going to get a Pride Mage and an Exalted trigger on this attack.
Bam.
No Spell Snare.
We're gonna get in for 3 here. Commence the beats. And a turn, look at our options. Shiny, shiny. That's a Jace the Mind Sculptor. Do we want it? Seems a little early. Oh, we're going to set up for later.
Hard to pass that one up if you have the mana to cast it. That's a few too many Force Negations.
It's a lot of Force Negations against a creature deck. Like, I understand wanting to counter Collected Company, but...
Also, it's interesting keeping the Jace on top without having the 4th land when you have Cryptic in hand. Seems a bit ambitious to me. I mean, it might not matter, but I definitely, if I have Cryptic and don't have 4th land, I'm bottoming cards until I hit land 4, especially on a control deck that really wants to curve out.
Oh, 100%. I think I'm completely behind that. Not having Cryptic mana available and then picking up a late game card over a land is a little greedy. So we're going to have a block in that Pride Mage. Take 2. It's just a snap as a 2/1. Trying to stop the pressure.
Oh, we targeted the opt there, so Snapcaster just
Oh, okay.
basically turns into, Cycle Scry.
Sure. I missed that, but we're going to probably see that opt into turn.
And then I'm going to tap 3 and I'm going to cast Brimaz.
Bramaz is the declared spell. Force of negation not looking great. Snapcaster block not looking like the thing you wanted to be doing. Oh, force can't counter it anyway. Never mind. Even if it's hard. Cast. We see a Mystic Sanctuary on top. That will come into play tapped. It's slow cryptic mana. How desperate are we?
I keep
We are.
it. I think I
Ooh.
definitely want to have my land.
That's a terminus.
That's
It's the
awkward.
wrong time for that terminus. Ouch. Oh, are we so punished?
When you're not dying the next turn and you have Cryptic in hand, I do like keeping any land on top, even if it's like a Colonnade or a Sanctuary, just because you're wanting to curve to 4, 5, 6.
Travis is committed to his upside. He's making all the plays towards the best possible draws, giving him the best possible advantage and ability to pull ahead. But he's, as you say, maybe getting a little bit punished for that.
Yeah, I kind of, when you're playing against a deck where you have such a favorable matchup, I really like playing not to lose instead of like playing to get the most value out of all of my cards.
I think you're right. When you can pull ahead overwhelmingly, it's worth not overextending. In general, you have to take riskier lines when you are behind than when you are ahead.
Looks like we have timely reinforcements for Travis that we're going to be able to cast next turn to gain some life and get a couple chump blockers.
Yep. We're going to hit time and round here. Our clock is a little bit behind. We're going to go to turns.
One of these decks has a chance of winning.
It's true. Travis is at 8.
I
It
think
is not impossible for us to finish this match. Travis categorically unlikely to finish this in 5 turns.
That is not a land, but we are going to cast a timely, go up to 14, get some jump blockers.
That is probably all the stall you need to force a draw here.
I do like a collected company if we have it for Chris, and then I think you might be able to, if Travis keeps whipping on lands, you might be able to
Yellow
punch
card.
through.
Those are not soldiers. Timely is a very frustrating magic card, as it turns out. Turn 2. What are we going to do? Let's just get in there. Rawr. Gonna get in for 7. The cats are multiplying. We're gonna jump in front of the cats. Chump the Bramaz. Travis gonna fall to 12 here on the second of 5 extra turns.
Oh, if I was Chris, I would have played out literally the rest of the cards in my
Yeah,
hand
why
because
not?
you're not losing.
Nope.
And you can only hope to win.
Travis. Okie dokie. Okay, the turbo draw. Chris, has been playing very conservatively around Travis's or very carefully around Travis's interaction, and I think that when you're in turns is not the time to be working around sweepers or otherwise working around answers because, you're not gonna be able. Like Travis, as you say, is not turning this game.
Yeah, I feel like there's, if you haven't played perhaps like a lot in comp REL settings, you might not know how to, like when to switch gears for like playing to win, playing to draw, playing not to lose.
Yep.
And this is a situation where if I was Chris, I would have like played to win because you're definitely not losing the game.
Yeah, there's absolutely no chance. Yep, that's going to be it. Travis is just going to, if I were Travis, I untap past turn, you're done. Doop doop, take a look, why not? Look at your hand, I'm a blue-white deck, I don't win the game. Sorry, Travis. James the Mind Sculptor.
Yeah.
Go.
For everyone knocking lightning bolts, if you play lightning bolt in your control deck, you can win the game.
What? But that's just against the spirit of control.
All right. Well, we had a really polarizing rounds. Round 1, we had 3 completed matches. Round 2, we had 1 incomplete match.
Karma, I guess. It's a karma cat million. So that is going to be the end of round 2 here. We will sit and chat a minute.